My son broke my favorite vase and spat, "You'll never have anything beautiful again." I cleaned the shards and whispered, "You'll never break my spirit." The next day, he discovered a box in his room, and when he opened it, he saw. I'm a 48-year-old widow. My husband, Victor, died from a heart attack while mowing the lawn. He was only 42. It broke me, but I had to stay strong for Miles. He was 10 at the time. He didn't cry at the funeral. Just stared at the casket like he didn't know what it was. At first, I thought he was just quiet with his grief. But he changed. The first few years were small things, refusing to do chores, lying about homework, skipping school. Then it became worse. Fighting with teachers, vaping in the house, getting suspended. When he turned 16, it got dark. He punched a hole in his wall after I told him he couldn't have the car. He shoved me once. I didn't report it. I should have. But part of me kept hoping this was just a phase. That he'd grow out of it. I didn't want to be the mom who gave up on her kid. Then he started saying cruel things. Things no son should say to his mother. He said I was a burden. That I was a weak, sad woman clinging to dead memories. I didn't react. I thought if I didn't feed the fire, it would burn out. I was wrong. The vase he smashed was the last thing Victor ever gave me. It was light blue with little white swirls. He bought it from a small art shop in Ithaca while we were on our anniversary trip. It wasn't worth much money, but it meant everything to me. I put fresh flowers in it every week. Even when we had no money, even when Miles was screaming upstairs, I always had flowers in that vase. Sunday morning, I was in the kitchen making eggs. I asked Miles if he'd go to church with me. I didn't expect him to say yes. He hadn't been in years. But I still asked. He walked into the hallway. Looked straight at the vase. And then, without a word, he knocked it off the table with his arm. It shattered across the floor. He looked me in the eyes and said, "You'll never have anything beautiful again." Then he turned and went upstairs like it was nothing. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I picked up the broom and dustpan, got down on my knees, and started cleaning the pieces. My hands were shaking. I picked up one of the bigger shards and held it for a long time. Then I whispered, "You'll never break my spirit." I stayed up that night thinking. I couldn't stop looking at the empty spot where the vase used to be. That space was like a wound. I didn't want revenge. Not at first. I just wanted him to remember who he used to be. Before everything went dark. Before the anger took him over. So the next morning, I went into the attic and opened the old memory bin. I found the drawings. Dozens of them. He used to draw birds and dragons and trees with giant eyes. He made one of our little family on the porch, Victor with his hand on my shoulder, me with a sun hat, Miles holding a toy sword. That was the last one before Victor died. I stacked them in a clean box and taped a note to the inside of the lid. "You used to make beautiful things. Yesterday, you destroyed one. Let's see what you do now." I left the box on his desk while he slept. Then I waited. He didn't come downstairs that day. When I went up to do laundry, I heard him throw something. The drawings, maybe. I don't know. He didn't say a word to me for 2 full days. But after that, something changed. And not in a good way. He started getting meaner. Colder. He began locking his door all the time. I caught him staring at me with this dead look in his eyes, like he was sizing me up. And then little things started to happen. My phone charger went missing. My house keys weren't where I left them. My medicine cabinet was opened. The dryer was running without clothes in it. It was like he wanted me to feel unsafe. Like he wanted to mess with my head. I kept a journal of everything. I took pictures when I could. I didn't know why, but something inside me told me to start keeping records. One night I woke up to the sound of the front door opening. When I came down, the door was locked and nothing was missing. But I knew he'd gone out. I checked the GPS on his phone. I still had access from when he was 12. He'd turned it off. Then I found out from the neighbor that he'd been hanging out with older guys. Guys in their 20s. One of them had a record for assault. Another one had done time for burglary. That's when I knew I had to act. I didn't go to the police, not yet. I started talking to a lawyer instead. And I began hiding things. Important papers, valuables, IDs. I changed my passwords, logged out of every device he had access to, and set up cameras inside the house. He didn't know it yet, but I was preparing for war. And it was about to get ugly. A week later, I came home from work and smelled smoke. Not fire, but something burnt. I ran into the kitchen and saw the microwave open. Inside was a melted plastic container, warped and smoking. There was no food, just melted plastic and black goo on the turntable. Miles was sitting on the couch, scrolling through his phone like nothing happened. "What is this?" I asked, pointing to the mess. He didn't look up. "Must have been your lunch." "My bad." He smirked. I stared at him. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I just turned off the microwave, aired out the kitchen, and wrote it down in the journal. I took a picture, like I always did. That same night, one of the cameras caught him going into my bedroom. I watched the footage in silence, Miles slipping into my room around midnight, holding something in his hand. A screwdriver. He didn't take anything. He just opened drawers, touched my clothes, looked at the jewelry box Victor gave me the year he died. Then he walked out. No smile. No expression. The next day, I changed the locks on my bedroom door. That set him off. He came home from school and tried the handle. When it didn't turn, he started pounding. Then kicking. Screaming. "Are you serious? You think I'm some criminal?" he yelled. I didn't answer. I stayed silent behind the locked door. "You're treating me like I'm crazy." I didn't move. He kicked the door one more time, then stormed off. Later, I heard the garage door open. He disappeared for hours. That night, I checked my hidden box, the one with all my old family photos, Victor's death certificate, some savings in cash I'd been putting away just in case. Gone. The entire box was gone. I tore through the closet. Nothing. No photos. No documents. The cash, all of it, gone. I confronted him the next morning. He was eating cereal at the counter like he hadn't just gutted my past. "Where's the box?" I asked. He didn't flinch. "What box?" "You know what box. Don't play games with me." He shrugged. "Maybe you misplaced it. You're not a child, Miles. Don't insult me." He leaned in close. His voice was low. "You're losing it, Mom. Maybe it's time you got help. You're starting to sound unstable." And then he smiled. That was it. That was the moment I realized he wasn't just angry anymore. He wanted to destroy me. I called the lawyer that afternoon. Told her I wanted to begin the process of removing Miles from my will. Not just that, I wanted to file for an emancipation reversal, since he was still a minor and legally in my care. She told me it would be hard. Family court doesn't make it easy. But she also told me something else. She said, "You need to protect yourself first. Emotionally. Legally. Physically." I installed a bolt on the inside of my bedroom door. I carried pepper spray in my pocket. I started sleeping with a knife in the drawer beside my bed. Then one night, it all boiled over. I came home and found my bedroom door wide open. The bolt had been broken clean off. My mattress was cut open. My clothes shredded. Everything destroyed. In the middle of the room was the vase. Not the real one, just the largest shard. He'd taken it from the trash weeks ago. And next to it, on a scrap of notebook paper, he'd written, "You'll never be safe again." That night, I made one more call, to a private investigator. If I was going to end this, I needed more than just pictures and gut feelings. I needed proof. I needed to expose him. Whatever Miles was hiding, whatever he was doing with those older men, I'd find it. And I'd use it. Because I wasn't afraid of him anymore. Now. I was angry. The private investigator's name was Irene. She was ex-law enforcement, mid-50s, sharp eyes, no small talk. I told her everything. About the vase, the threats, the missing documents. She didn't flinch. "You're dealing with a manipulator," she said. "And if he's got friends with records, this might be bigger than just domestic stuff." She installed a tracker on his car and gave me access to a shared drive where she'd upload reports. That same week, I started pretending everything was normal. I made him breakfast. I let him think the storm had passed. But inside, I was watching. Waiting. It didn't take long. For nights later, he went out again. The GPS pinged an address in an industrial strip just outside Liverpool, about 20 minutes from home. Irene followed. She sent me photos. Miles, in the parking lot of an old warehouse, talking to 3 men. One of them was ex-con, 27, known for dealing. The others weren't much better. Irene didn't get close, but she took enough pictures to prove my son was tied up in something illegal. And then she told me something that knocked the wind out of me. "There's been a string of home break-ins over the last 2 months," she said. "All small, quiet, just cash and documents. Police think it's a young crew, someone smart enough to avoid cameras, someone who knows the houses." My stomach dropped. She showed me a blurred photo from a gas station camera. A boy with a hoodie, same build as Miles, wearing sneakers I'd seen in our laundry room. The timestamp was the night my memory box disappeared. I wanted to scream. But I didn't. Instead, I went into his room while he was at school. I knew his hiding spots. Under the floorboard, behind the headboard, inside the vent. That's where I found it. The folder with my birth certificate. Victor's death certificate. My bank statements. Photos of my signature. And something else, notes. Names of houses in our neighborhood. Schedules. Times people were at work. It wasn't just theft. He was planning. I took pictures of everything. Then I put it all back exactly how I found it. That night, I told Irene. She asked one question. "Do you want to go to the police now? Or wait?" I waited. Because I wanted more than just an arrest. I wanted him to feel it. The fear. The confusion. The cracks in control. So I started turning the screw. The next morning, I casually told him I was thinking of selling the house. Downsizing. Moving somewhere quieter. He froze. "What?" "Too much space for just one person," I said. "I don't need all this." He got angry fast. "You're lying." "Why would I lie?" I smiled. That night, I changed the Wi-Fi password. Said the router was acting up. The next day, I canceled the credit card he used. The day after that, I accidentally locked him out of his email. All small things. All quiet. And every night, I checked the shared folder. Irene was building a file. And I was building my trap. Then something unexpected happened. I came home from work and found Miles in the living room. Calm. Too calm. "I know what you're doing," he said. I said nothing. "You think you're clever? You think I haven't noticed the cameras? The locks? You're trying to corner me." He stood up and walked toward me. He wasn't yelling. That made it worse. I gave you a chance to be smart. You chose war. I stared him dead in the eye. You started this, Miles. And you're not going to win. His jaw twitched. For a second, I saw the boy he used to be. Then it was gone. He walked out without another word. That night, I didn't sleep. I waited by the door, pepper spray in one hand, phone in the other. At 3:17 a.m., the basement window sensor went off. He wasn't done. He was just getting started. I didn't move when the sensor pinged. I just listened. The basement window wasn't easy to get through. It was narrow. But he knew that. He'd used it before, back when he was sneaking out to smoke. Back before all this turned into war. I heard the slight creak of the basement door open. Soft footsteps on the stairs. I stayed still in the dark, phone in hand, finger over the emergency dial. He didn't know I'd put a lock on the hallway closet that connected to the fuse box. He didn't know I'd taken his vent access and sealed it with screws. And he definitely didn't know that Irene had installed a camera facing the back entry, just in time to catch him sliding through the window with a backpack full of zip ties and a pair of gloves. I waited until I heard him reach the second floor. Then I stepped out of my room and faced him. He looked shocked. Not scared. Not yet. What are you doing? I asked, calmly. He stared at me. The backpack dropped to the floor. I was just coming back inside. I forgot my key. You came through the basement window. You locked the doors. With gloves on? He stepped forward. What, you think I'm dangerous now? You think I'd hurt you? I didn't answer. He raised his voice. You think you can treat me like some freak? Huh? I'm your son. You were, I said. That stopped him. For just a second. He lunged. I pulled the pepper spray and sprayed it full into his face. He screamed, loud, guttural. His hands flew to his eyes as he stumbled backwards, tripping on the stairs. He landed hard. The back of his head cracked against the step. He didn't move. I called 911. The paramedics came first. Then the cops. I handed over everything. Videos, photos, the folder from the vent, the recordings from the cameras, screenshots of the text messages Irene had found between him and the older men, planning break-ins, splitting cash, even mocking the people they robbed. It all came out. He was part of a burglary ring. Not just houses, storage units, small offices, even one church. He used my identity for some of it. That's why he stole my documents. He'd opened a fake checking account in my name. Used it to launder part of the stolen money. They arrested him the next day, still in the hospital, blindfold over one eye from the pepper spray burn. His friends got picked up within the week. 2 of them had weapons charges already. One had a stolen handgun. But it didn't end there. Because of the forged bank account and the fake ID stuff, I got flagged too. I had to fight to prove I wasn't part of it. That I didn't know. For weeks I had to meet with investigators, clear my name, deal with frozen accounts and a damaged credit score. One bank closed me out completely. I lost thousands. That was my karma. For waiting too long. For protecting him. For thinking love was enough to fix evil. He pled guilty. Not just to burglary, but fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy. He was 17. Tried as an adult. They gave him 12 years. I didn't go to the sentencing. But I did mail him something the day he got transferred to state prison. It was the drawing. The one he made of us, the 3 of us standing in the sun. I'd written 4 words on the back in red ink, "You chose the dark." I sold the house 2 months later. Moved to a small apartment in a quieter part of Fayetteville. I kept the photos. The good ones. I started volunteering at a shelter for runaway teens. Kids like Miles. Angry. Broken. But not yet cruel. I don't know if he'll ever change. I don't pray for him. I just remind myself, every morning, that spirit can't be broken by blood. Only fed. He took my vase. He tried to take my past. My name. But I took back everything. And when he opened that box the next morning, and saw his old drawings, that was me telling him, you don't scare me. Not then. Not ever again.